listening to The Questionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to The Questionnaires.
I've just started.
Right here, for your ears, for your eyes.
The Questionnaire.
Get your comic on.
Poke it out, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
I do trust you. I just don't understand. Yeah, what's there to understand, ladies and gentlemen? This is The Questionnaire. Yeah, we're getting real close to the end of season 2. I hope you enjoyed that PanCon we just had. Yeah, talking about streaming and its effects on society and entertainment. Man, like, that was just intriguing. Yeah, we got another PanCon coming up right after this particular episode. Right here. This quest right here, right? But before we get to that PanCon, let's get to our co-host for this quest, that being Shiro. Yeah? Which I'll just put this a little bit out there, that PanCon might have already been done and totally done, and I'm just gonna put things out how I put things out, because I put things out how I put things out, right? Sometimes it's a mess. We try not to make it a bucket, but over here we're always talking comics. Yeah, with Dominic Riggio.
How's it going, guys?
Excellent, man. Excellent. Thank you for coming on the show, Dom.
My pleasure.
I'll be real honest, man. Like, how this show goes about booking guests, there's a bit of chaos to it, right? Which, me being the unknown, whatever, I don't want to hear it, Shiro.
I am slightly pale.
Look, Scott's supposed to be handling all the booking, and sometimes I throw him emails and things just go, and it's gotten crazy, you know? It started off as a one-man show. It's not anymore, so it is what it is, and that's what it does, right? Sometimes it's just me scrolling Instagram, and I see something that, like, I'm like, ooh, what's that, right? And Dominic, at first, I was like, Donny Brook? Really? I didn't know Brian O'Halloran was doing any kind of comic book. And then I was like, Messbug Comics. And I start looking. And I'm like, Undertaker. Sting. Ric Flair, I believe, was up there. Like, there are so many. And dude, right off the bat, I just have to know, how are you doing this? And no one is coming. Because, like, I feel like you are playing with characters that I do not understand how you are able to play with them the way that you are.
Which characters are you talking about? Just the people I've met and stuff?
Well, no, I mean, like, more than anything. How are you doing an Undertaker comic?
Well, I'm not doing an Undertaker comic. I've done a Roddy Piper comic and a British Bulldog comic book coming out. I've worked with some wrestlers with hockey jerseys and stuff like that, but Undertaker, I have not met. I would love to.
Why do I feel like I've seen something at your... Man, I should have. Look, we had to reschedule this several times, y'all, so I apologize. And, like, my personal life, we won't get into. But if I ever put out that before and after the quest with Locke and all that gets put out, you can find out a lot by paying me $2 for the Patreon. And you can find out all about why Locke would have rather had a heart attack than deal with what I would. So it's been a while since I've honestly looked at the photo that I'm referring to, as far as what was all on you, because I swear I seen. So all you've done is Roddy Piper and British Bulldog,
as far as comic books, but you might be referring to some of the hockey jerseys that I've done for wrestlers that we sell at Mess Bucket Comics, like Kurt Angle, Mick Foley, the Good Brothers, Godfather,
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Bulldog. With that.
Jake the Snake Roberts was on there too, right?
I've met Jake. You probably saw a picture of Jake on social feeds.
I thought everything was comics, and I thought you were doing comics with all these individuals in them.
That would be amazing, but hopefully one day, you know, and you know, in the Piper comic that we had many guest appearances. I saw Jim Duggan, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Mick Foley, Tony Schiavone, Conrad Thompson, and there's going to be a lot more in the British Bulldog comic as well. But I don't have the. I would love to do comics on all those guys. It'd be incredible.
Well, then let me ask you this. I mean, how did you get it to where you could do a Piper comic without it being any kind of issue?
Right. So I was always a wrestling fan, and Eric Hodson, the artist on the book, introduced me to some people at the Pro Wrestling Tees. I don't know if you're familiar with that company.
Yeah.
And so Roddy Piper had a book come out a while ago, and they want to do another one, something different, something more family friendly, and where he's a superhero but not really his exact persona, something a little bit different and fun. And Eric, I can give him all the credit. He's like, I got the perfect guy. He's pretty almost like a wrestling encyclopedia, and I talked to them, and we were off to the races, and I was able to publish it and put it out. It was a really, really cool opportunity, and something I really needed at the time to get my company a little jolt, a little shot in the arm. And it's crazy because I was at the first ever wrestling event I ever went to was WrestleMania 3. And Piper wrestled in that one, and now I'm here in front of my computer writing dialogue for Roddy Piper to say in a comic book. It was pretty full circle and crazy. So it was a great opportunity.
Well, I will just say, just to show the mark that I am real quick, if I can dig it off my bookshelf.
Eventually.
God.
I believe in you. There we go.
Nice.
Have a nice day. This is like I kind of wonder if this is worth anything, because I got this like when it at very first came out. You know what I mean? So I am also somebody that's, dude, I've been a lifelong wrestling fan forever. And pulse. Go to bed.
That would be the obscure
It was
fragment.
nothing. Go to bed. I love you. We got school in the morning. I love you. You should already be asleep. Single father life is very, very. All right.
Yeah, I got that book when it first came out too. Loved it.
Oh, dude, that is such a phenomenal story. And I can only imagine getting to play with Piper like that, especially in a comic book. But you're doing it more to where it's a superhero-esque. So it's like that.
Right.
That's intriguing. How do you? Because I mean, so you've got it to where you have permission for Piper. How do you figure out who you can and cannot use within doing that? Because I feel like that's got to be a juggling act, man.
Yeah, it can be difficult because a lot of the people and the excitement, I would just go up and ask the best way, at a wrestling convention and stuff like that. When it's somebody like Piper, it's a lot easier. Everyone loves Roddy Piper. It seemed, at least from a wrestler point of view, of who wanted to be in it. I went up and asked people at a convention, would you like to be a part of this? And I think everybody said yes. To what extent, or maybe just a quick appearance, or to be a bigger part of the book, like Hacksaw Jim Duggan is. Conrad Thompson wanted to be a part of it. I mean, I literally, I wish I could tell you some intriguing story, but I just went up and asked, and I was like, this is going to be a really fun book. And they were all just so appreciative to be a part of a Roddy Piper book. And for that one, I really don't think anybody said no.
That's amazing and awesome, and I can relate, because it amazes me the people I've hit up, and they'll be like, yeah, I'll come on the show, and I'll be like, what? All right, well, that's cool, we'll do that. like it's just like, okay. And like, did you ever have that moment when you were chatting with some of them guys and they just said yes, and part of your brain was like, okay, that happened?
It all happened so fast. It was just, wow, okay. Hacksaw Jim Duggan and his wife just shook my hand, gave me a hug, like very, like, appreciative of me asking, like, Jesus, this is so weird. This is, and it all happened I think it was a StarCast convention. I think it was the first one, where I was talking to people, gave them permission. Buff Bagwell, Victoria, I remember they're part of it, and they appear in the crowd and stuff like that. It was just a really, really bizarre, and like I said, that full circle thing where I went my first ever wrestling match, saw Piper, loved him, and now I'm sitting down writing dialogue for him. And when is he going to use this coconut? When is he going to put these glasses on from the They Live movie? When is he going to drive the gold car that he got in the the backlot brawl with Gold Dust in, all these cool things. So it was very, very rewarding.
I need this comic in my life because you said you included everything from the coconut to the glasses
Oh yeah.
of They Live, which that is a phenomenal movie.
Yep.
I feel like it will always be underrated. I feel like it will always be, to a
Oh.
certain degree, never given the respect that it does, and it's terrifying because it becomes more and more relevant every single day. Like it's you're like, look, man, when you're watching a movie that old and you're just sitting there like, it shouldn't be like, no.
Yeah.
Why is this still relevant?
Right.
You think they would have figured it out by now?
Oh.
Because I'm all the way in Canada, and well, you know.
Oh. She's in the 51st state.
Excuse me, you are in the Fort territory. You're not even worth a province.
I blame Trump. I totally blame Trump for this running bit on the show that's happened now, I want to point out.
It was. What?
Go ahead, man.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
For any complaint, please
saying
send them directly to Jay's email at.
What's cool about that, I don't know the exact timeline, but a lot of people credit is definitely due to somebody like Hulk Hogan to kick the door open for Hollywood and other opportunities. But Roddy Piper was the lead in a John Carpenter movie. It wasn't Santa with muscles, or I know he was in Rocky 3, but he was the
part
lead.
of an actual story, not just a character to make some sort of.
Yeah,
and he was awesome.
Yeah, I never thought about that, Dom. Like, if you look at every wrestler that's ever went Hollywood in any capacity, I can't think of another one that did a movie that was so a social commentary. Because look, Suburban Commando is not a social commentary. It's entertaining, but it's not a social commentary.
Right, exactly. I don't think nothing even close. I'm trying to think of the Rock's movies, John Cena. I don't think there's anything. It's just they're just being typecast as the big muscle wrestler,
The only one I can think of, and it annoys me because I seen it in theaters and it was phenomenal. I wish I could remember the name of it. Dave Bautista. I am sorry, but it was an M. Night Shyamalan film with Dave Bautista as the starring role. What's the name of that? Shiro. Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan.
I'm looking. Hang on.
I can't. And it is. If you haven't seen it, Dominic, it is a wonderful film.
Would it be Knock at the Cabin?
Knock at the Cabin. That's the only film that I could think of, and I that would have any kind of social commentary within it. And I still don't think it's anywhere near the level of They Live. I think They Live is up there as far as social commentary with, Dawn of the Dead, ostensibly. On
consumerism and stuff like that.
Oh, that's.
Hey, I don't watch the movies, but I do read the Wikipedia entries.
All I know is, Dom, you just made my head hurt thinking about that, and it's really kind of funny because, yeah, that's the weirdest circumstance I ever think. Why do you think it is with Piper doing that? Like, why didn't he go on to do? Because he never really did a whole lot more beyond that, man. And I feel like he was great in that movie, and I still think, like, legit, that has one of the best fight scenes in any film. Like, it's a great fight scene.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and he was excellent. He had some great lines that he improvised. It seems like he went right to B movies. He was like Frogtown and other stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know why that happened, because that was such a great performance by him. And Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask around. I'd like to figure that out too.
Yeah, because
Because he wasn't a typecast, he wasn't a body guy wrestler.
Mm.
Not that he was small or he wasn't muscular, but he brought something different to the table. His mic skills and he was just this ball of energy that was so much fun. So I think that is why he got the role where he just, he had depth.
my brain is gonna spin on that for days now, Dom. So if you get any information, will you please let me? I'm serious, man. That's just really because there's this other,
Yeah.
yeah, there's this other part of me. Like I know when certain things are done, there's certain people that'll be like, hey, we need to shut that thing up. You know what I mean? Because it's making too much of a poignant point that we don't really want the masses noticing. You know, like and
Correct.
that's like I think one of the things I really think about from that movie is when he's picking up the magazines when he has the glasses on, and it's like consume and just everything that the magazine is actually saying. And in my other job,
Consume, obey,
yeah,
breed, I think.
yeah, in my other job, one
Yeah.
of the things I do is I stock magazines on shelves at different stores. And firstly, look, I have thrown away, I feel like I've thrown away a couple tons of paper in magazines because nobody purchases them anymore because literally they're just there as a site and nobody thinks about it because everybody's consuming things off their phone. At the same time, and I've told this to several stores, I was like, look, I really think you guys should take your magazine section, cut it in half, and make half of it comics. I think they'd sell better because because the parents, dude, aren't looking. They're looking at those magazines. Well, I can find all that crap out by whatever, just typing it into my phone real quick.
Right.
They don't care to look at that and do that. So you might get some really old people buying them, and but that's it. But with the comic books, you can encourage a younger generation of look. Hey, there's these cool stories, and let's read. It's. Oh, this makes my brain hurt.
That idea.
You broke
I
my.
love that idea, not just because I'm in comics, but when you buy a comic book, it's an investment. It's going to grow in value. I don't know if magazines have any value anymore. Where I know that you can get them graded and stuff like that, but a magazine to be worth anything nowadays, I feel like has to be from 20, 30 years ago, or maybe even longer, where a comic book, especially with the movies doing as well as they have, and the kids see the movies, are like, oh, this is a comic book, this is cool. I've never seen one before. I haven't seen the movies.
Well, and not even that, but if you could, if you
Here's
could,
something that one of our past guests, Jeff, talked about. When you have a superhero movie, why not have a little magazine stand with the comics, with the characters from that movie in
I,
the theater?
and that's something that's
Agree.
been discussed on the show. I think a lot of that is the fact that those comics would get trashed fairly quickly. I think the only way you could do that is if you kept graphic novels behind on the like you know what I mean in the behind the concession stand. And I think you'd be best to do that with like graphic novels, like specifically like with the Captain America film that just came out. Have the graphic novel that is the first where Sam Wilson becomes Captain America, and have the first like graphic novel that's like a collection of the first appearance of Red Hulk. I think those two things would well. I think if you tried to sell singles in a movie theater, they get so much butter on them from people grabbing them that that it just wouldn't. It's not, unfortunately, as much as I love the idea, because I love the idea. I love it. I love it as a concept. I just don't think it's feasible. Um, but like if you put graphic novels or just single comics, like I said, in Walgreens, CVS, all these places, I can't tell you how many times I put a magazine up, and when it's expired, I throw the exact same amount away as I put up. Like not a single copy of it is sold. It's insane. But if you did that with comics, I can only imagine. You've got parents and all this coming into Walgreens with their kids, and their kids all of a sudden like, oh look, it's the Avengers or Spider-Man or Batman, Wolverine, Superman. I mean, pick a character that's been in film because at this point, I don't know what percentage of MC and DC characters or MCU or MC, yeah, I said MC and DC, which is kind of funny. Marvel and DC characters have been represented like that, but it's extensive, and at least you'd get kids reading and off devices that way.
And it is true.
That's
where I
That's why,
am.
like,
There's still one comic
my mom
on the
said-
magazine stands, and that's Archie, and they sell a lot.
Really? Oh, okay. That was one of the big. My mom told me one of the big motivations for me to read was because I wanted to know what Batman was saying. You know, so well, if you want to know, you got to learn the words, you got to sound them out, you got to do this and that. And then all of a sudden, I could read very quickly because I want to know what Batman was saying, the Joker or whatever. I think that would translate today, I believe.
Well, yeah, exactly. Comics are a gateway to learning.
Right. I agree.
Why do you think that's not held at a common? Because, and I say this, we've had teachers on the show. We've had Jason DeHart on the show, who literally wrote I'd have to go grab it because he sent me a copy, but it's a comic that is, or a book that is learning. Let me pronounce this word. I can't pronounce. Jesus. Yeah, thank you, Shiro. Learning critical literacy and empathy through graphic novels. And I mean, this guy, he's got a PhD. You know what I mean? He's a teacher. So it's clear that teachers can see this, that it's something that can very much be used to teach. But at the same time, some of the stories I've heard from a couple teachers as far as about like an art teacher being like, oh, you shouldn't draw comics, that's not an art form, or some crap like that. It's really an odd balance. Why do you think there are people that don't understand that reading is reading? And if you're reading, the more you read, the more you will want to read.
I mean, I think it's the people that have those opinions on comics most of the time haven't read many comics. And they're just assuming that it's for children or that it's just second rate kind of type of art form, like you said. And those are people that just haven't given it a chance. And I think the younger the generation now, they have so many more options than I ever had. I mean, your whole life is on your phone. You can watch movies and TV shows and YouTube videos, and there's just too much going on. And it's a lot easier to watch a video than sit down and read a book. Whereas before, like when I was a kid, I wanted to read a comic book because there was a good mix of reading and art. I could kind of go back and forth. You know, now there's so much just getting thrown at these kids that they're just almost like they don't have time. My sister has two 5-year-old twin boys and a 7-year-old daughter, and they saw my comic books. Like, oh my God, what is this? This is crazy. This is so cool. Whoa, what is this? We saw this on Disney Plus. I'm like, they were just intrigued by it. It's almost like it's not really an option anymore. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't have kids, so maybe that's why I don't understand. But that seemed to be my perception of it.
They ran in saying they seen what was it that they said they seen on Disney Plus about? I need to know.
It was Spidey and Friends or something, that like new cartoon. It's got like Spider-Gwen, and I think it's called Spidey and Friends. You know, it's the kids show. But then they saw a Spider-Man comic and flipped out.
That's just,
sorry, what'd you say?
Oh no, that's just strange. Because you are right, it is Spidey and Friends. I'm aware. I've watched that with my boy as well. As it's how I've gotten. He's 5 as well, and I've gotten him into reading some of the smaller one, the ones that are not like I'm not trying to read the Red Goblin with him. You know what I mean? Even though I hope at a point he gets to the point where he's like, I gotta read Red Goblin.
At one point.
I totally hope he gets to the point where like he looks behind on my shelf and he's like, holy crap, Daddy, you got a lot of. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you want in the boxes too? They got single issues, like we can talk about it, buddy. Go read. But that's just intriguing. Right. They saw it and they didn't know, like they weren't aware that it was a comic book. And I think maybe maybe in that then it falls a lot on the parent as the fact that they have these children consuming this and they're not.
The
And
parents has the money.
your sister's going to see this episode and be like, look, that guy's an A. I just made your sister hate me, Dom.
I have only 20 minutes in a day for myself.
And I mean,
exactly.
yeah, I do understand that, especially at that age. That's more you reading to them. Because like I said, I mean, I was reading one of Scott's comics to my boy right before bedtime. So I do understand that, and I don't know, man. I feel like the phone is the easy button, with kids. And a lot of people press it a lot,
Right. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's. Go ahead.
No.
I was saying there's also something. There's a magic to comic books. Like it's a bunch of still pictures and text to read. Versus a movie where it's just shoved in your face and everything's moving. But when you read a page, yeah, there's the magic between the panels. Your brain fills in the gaps, and it's a different experience than watching a video or a movie or something like that. It feels different reading the comic panel to panel. It doesn't always come across as boring still picture.
And you pick the timing. You pick how long you spend on each panel. If you feel like just reading, you read fast. If you feel like looking at the pictures in detail, then it's slower.
I want more
intimate experience than a movie.
I just want more time where I can casually read comics, to be real honest. But like, I'm to the point where it's like, look, if I want to get this and I want to get this done, I kind of do have to speed read it so I can get through it and try and. But that's just I'm older. I'm in a very intricate situation in my current life and job and work and also running this show. If I want to read comics, I better get through them fast. But I do try to enjoy them as much as possible. But I mean, that is an interesting because it is it's a very unique experience, and I don't think the only other you're not gonna find unless you say manga. And if you want to say that, I'm gonna tell you that's a Japanese comic book. Can we not sit here and say apples are apples without just saying apples are apples? Come on, bro. Right? The only difference is you got to read it backwards, which is the only reason I've never read manga, because I read comics for so long that I'm like, no, this is how it goes, and this is
just say you don't know how to adapt.
Yeah, and no, look, I don't have time for that crap. Are you serious, Shiro? How much have I adapted within the past 4 months? Don't tell me. I will throw this right from my place from Indiana to Canada. Do not.
Oh, you're so cute when you're mad.
Yeah. Ask a question, Shiro.
I don't know. I'll grab one here. The question thought you had as a kid that you still want.
No.
Do you remember your answer?
Hey. Why are you stealing my... See, man, I tell somebody to ask a question, and then they steal something from the questionnaire that I use for the end of the show, and then they're messing with me. And why are you doing that, Shiro? All right? You shouldn't do that. You know not to do that. So let's get into something else. I'm totally just going to... She was just like, he told me to ask a question, and he just told me I couldn't answer that. I couldn't ask that question, and that's what I did. Shiro, she knows she deals with me, and she's giving me a headache. I give her headaches all the time, so it's fine. Shiro, we'll give one another headaches. It's what we do, right? Dominic, what I want to know though, let's flip to something else, man. Right? So, and we'll flip to the last bit here in a little while, and you need to go to bed, sir. I love you. Right. I done
This
get
is also normal.
I done got told to go to bed, ladies and gentlemen. That bloody well happened, right? So, I love you, sir. I will later, and then we'll work on the questionnaire tomorrow, okay? All right, good night. I got told to go to fuck to bed. All right, I'm good, buddy. Great. You need to get to sleep, though. I'll try and be more quiet. Sorry.
Well, there you go. It's your fault, as usual.
I got too loud. I got too loud. That's what that is. But so what I want to cut to is I made that quick cut that y'all don't like. Why'd that happen? It happened because it happened, Donald. So just sometimes we got to make cuts over here on the show. Sometimes I am supposed to make cuts and I forget to make cuts. So hopefully I did remember to cut that out and all that wasn't just left in the episode. If it was, Dominic, my bad. Life's crazy. You know what I mean? That's why I read Uncanny Valley. Love you, Tony. But we're gonna get back to wrestling here in a minute, right? What I want to know about real quick though is you write Donny Brook, right? Right, with Brian O'Halloran. How did that come about?
Last thing I heard was you have Donny Brook with Brian O'Halloran, and then it cut out for a second.
Fine.
Sorry,
I need to take a second, or I'm going to clobber someone.
Oh, so while he's tucking at him, he had asked how did that come around, so you know for when he comes back. I'm guessing
You
you
wanna
meant how did
know-
the collaboration happen?
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, no problem. Wait till he gets back.
Yeah,
Okay.
because apparently I'm not supposed to ask questions. Oh well, we're all neurodivergent here, so
No worries. I get it. I see what my sister goes through. I'm like, oh my God. The everyday thing, no time off.
if it'll make you feel better, it gets a little better as they get older. At around 40, 42
Hopefully.
there, it gets better.
Yep, that's what I'll tell her. You only got 40 more years of this.
As long as they're diagnosed earlier enough and they know what to do. Usually getting the information is not that hard. Finding a diagnosis, that's a little harder because, well, medical. But the information itself usually is pretty easy to come by with a little Googling. Hello again.
You sure you don't want a
Welcome
story,
back to
Dom?
your own show.
I gotta, well, whatever. You were part of the dichotomy for comics where it's fucking Kevin and Fred talking half the time. I'm not even on the fucking show for God knows how long. I don't even want to go about editing that, but that's a whole different. When
Well,
literally,
neither was I. I was doing figuration.
well, fuck. I mean, what they were chatting for like 20 fucking minutes. I wasn't even present. I don't think.
Well, they had to do something.
Yeah, it's gonna be well, and I know they had a great conversation because I could tell, and that's gonna be really, 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 really odd editing, right? But another quick edit, right? So what I said, as far as in regards to that, as far as the Donny Brook comic, how did that come about with you working with Brian O'Halloran?
So, Donny Brook, I played hockey my whole life. I still play occasionally now, and for whatever reason, hockey players are a whole different breed than other athletes. They're just absolute lunatics, and it's hard to describe to someone just with the words out of my mouth the culture and how they are. So I decided I was going to start with a few of my junior hockey stories and create this fictional minor hockey league where I could use it as basically a storytelling device, guys talking to each other in the locker room, on the ice, on the bench, and going out at night and things like that. So I had Darren McCarty, who is a great player for the Detroit Red Wings. I told him about Donny Brook, and I said, how would you like to be the owner of one of these fictional teams? You can come up with the name, the color, the city, everything. And he loved it. And he came up with the Burnaby Blazers. They're stoned lumberjacks from Western Canada, British Columbia, Burnaby, British Columbia, I believe. And and I also, for authenticity, each issue that comes out, I have a former professional player's story that I weave into the overall story arc of the book. And after I got Darren and that went so well, then I knew Brian from conventions and stuff like that, and I gave him the same thing. and he's a big New York Rangers fan. I knew Brian was a hockey fan, and he came up. Well, we actually did a contest with his fans online to name the team, and they came up with Hell's Kitchen Heathens out of New York. So he's the owner of that fictional team, and we've had an absolute blast with it. It's been so much fun, and we got some other big name celebrities, not bigger name celebrities for season 2, which will come out 3 issues from now. So I'm really excited about that. So it starts preseason, regular season, there's playoffs, and the end of each season, about 6 to 7 books, there's a champion. And you're going to win this fictional league. Your team, whoever the owners are, I think there's five teams right now. We're going to bump it up to 8 for season 2, if that made sense.
It's like, no. That makes absolute sense. But a few things in regard, right? One, how do you make sure you pick a champion that doesn't, like, make somebody mad that you have as the fictional owner? Like, just out of curiosity, you ever think that might happen? 2, come on, man. Who else you got for coming in for season 2 that's going to be a fictional owner? Huh? What's up? Who you got? Come on, Dom.
Well, I'd love to tell you, but it's just not the ink isn't dry yet, and they want it to be a surprise. But based on our conversation before the show, I think you're going to be very happy with one of them. It's are you talking about if they do, the celebrity does something stupid and they get canceled or something like that? For your first question.
Wait. Something stupid and gets canceled.
Wait. What was you asked 2 questions there. The first one will.
Oh, yeah, no, not get canceled, but just, anger them because, you didn't let them win the championship. You let somebody else win the championship of some other team, and
they know I'm in charge. I got the pen.
Like, listen, you're a character now. All right, you're in the book. You do as I say.
I mean, if they don't like it or they do something stupid, I can always just have them sell the team to somebody else. Happens all the time in the minors.
I know that feeling.
That's
you crossed me. You're wearing a tutu now.
that's intriguing. Because you could. Because look, and hopefully, I'm not saying anything. I hope none of anything happens with any kind of negativity and crazy thing. But obviously, within the culture that we currently live, sometimes famous people do things. And I'm sure if somebody went through the fine-tooth comb, or with a fine-tooth comb. I'm having problems with English today. I swear it's my first language besides BS. Of everything as far as the music that I've made and running this show and the radio that I used to run, I'm sure I'd probably get canceled. No one do that, please. Right? All right? Because I'm trying to, we're not, I know I've said some things, but I think we all have. And it's just the fact that we live in the age of the internet to where it's to a certain degree when you say something, it's there. And that's where it is. And to get rid of it is a problem. Back when, how old are you, Dom?
46.
46. Okay, so you got 5 years on me, man. But like I said, back when we were kids, we'd go do something stupid, and if you could get the 4 people that witnessed it to say it never happened, then it never happened,
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up without cell phones and videos everywhere, so thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Brian being a part of Donny Brook was a blessing. He's been absolutely great. Just promoting it, pushing for it. It's been really, really. He's a really good guy. Very, very talented as well.
Yeah, I don't think he gets enough credit for his performances within Kevin Smith's film, especially if you look at Clerks 3. You know, like
Yes.
that one specifically, I don't think
Yes.
I don't think he'll ever get the credit he's due for that, unfortunately, because I just don't think he will. Man, my TV got real flashy to where it looks like there's a storm over here. That's intriguing. What's going on? Look,
Brian. I do know that Brian, I've been table neighbors with him and stuff at conventions, and those fans did come up and say, "Oh my God, you had me in tears," and Clerks 3. It was almost like every other person was coming up and telling him that recently. So and he's really he's quick-witted. If you if you're just messing around, he's gonna rip you apart, in a fun way, because he's very intelligent and funny, and he was much more talented than I knew. I'm well aware now.
I feel like you got wittily tore apart at some point, Dom. Am I right?
No, I saw him do it, messing around. I mean, he just made fun of Jason Mewes and other people, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna cross this guy.
Immediately crosses the guy, and now we're friends.
That would be something that I would and have done on several occasions. That guy looks really quick-witted. I'm gonna go mess with him. Why? I don't know, man. It seems like a challenge. Let's see if I can keep up. If I can't keep up, well, crap. If I can't keep up, man, new homie.
Yeah. I got one or two back and forth. I don't have 10 or 12 like him. He's unbelievable. He does stand-up comedy too, which
well, there you go.
Oh, I didn't know that Brian did stand-up, which is, how have I not?
Yeah.
I don't look. I'm the guy that runs a podcast that should be on social media way more than I'm on social media. But I don't like social media, so I'm not on social media. So occasionally I'll run across, and I swear my social media switches to where it's like, okay, you've ran across that dude, and then it starts showing me someone else that I didn't know, and then someone else that I didn't know, and look, it running that way has been helpful for the sake of the show, because I've been able to, run across people like you, Scott, Shiro, Alan. The list is extensive as far as everyone who's been on the show. So
I still regret it to this day.
I know you do, Shiro, but you signed on. Look, I got the blood on the contract. You're stuck here. All right?
You prick your finger once for a contract set in fire and never lets you forget about it.
You think the Flames would have been a dead giveaway, right, Tom? I mean, there were things crawling on it, and the paper was kind of moving, and just didn't feel quite like paper, but still, Shiro signed it, and I'm like, yes. So have many others. I don't know why, right? But that's neither here nor there, man. Really, maybe it's just deceived that way because people are more inclined to sign that contract than a contract that has positive reinforcement. So I had to design it as something that looked very, very nefarious, when really it wasn't. It was about spreading the love of comics and hopefully getting more people to read. Just read. Just please, just read. Turn off TikTok. Consume long-form content, right? Right? And this is something that we discussed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, on the
I
stream.
put on my glasses, and all the comics that Jay worked on all say, educate yourself.
I mean, I am writing 2 or 3 things, and that would be really funny if at the top of every comic it just said, educate yourself.
I totally agree with that.
Even if it's about the craziest thing you could think of, the comic's educate yourself, and then it's just about some weird, bizarre. It's this doesn't seem educational. It's are you reading? Then it's educational. All right. That's all that matters. What made you?
Not everything has to.
Oh, go ahead.
I said not everything has to be ADD theater like TikTok and 5-second videos. It's okay to, you know, let a long form story, you know, seep into your brain. That's okay. That's what I mean, that's what I prefer.
But follow the questionnaire on TikTok. I've been posting more because I got a few things figured out. You know what I mean? And hopefully you'll see some of those TikToks and be like, oh, I should go watch the entirety of those interviews, because that would really, like, I'm more for long form entertainment, and I think it's caused so much damage to us. The 30-second or the
Yep.
30 to 3 minute reels and what people are consuming that. Do you think? God, this is a terrifying thought. And I mean, I guess the equivalent to a 30-second reel in comic book form would be a comic book strip.
Oh.
Right?
Right.
I mean, just, you know, like a Garfield
Right.
strip or whatever. Do you think it's a
Right.
possibility? I don't even want to say this. My brain hurts contemplating it, Dom. I'm not even kidding. But do you think it's a possibility that things will really be compressed down to that in the future? To where, like, because look, there are so many people that would rather, like, I know people, like, there's a dude I work with. Man, I'd rather just watch a video and have somebody describe the comic to me. I kind of wanted to hit him in the face. I'm not going to lie. Like, there's this part of me that's like, I want to choose violence right now. I do. Because you're telling me you would
Right.
rather have somebody describe this story to you step by step, as opposed to just take the time
Right.
and go read the book. Why?
Well, I kind of started doing that with pro wrestling, to be honest. There's so much wrestling on TV. I don't even know if Raw is still 3 hours long, but their content's gotten a lot better. But for a while there, towards the end of the Vince McMahon era and the Triple H era, I couldn't watch it. It was just not watchable to me. It wasn't exciting. There wasn't anything going on that I liked. I switched over to AEW and liked that for a while, but then I got so busy I can't sit down and watch 3 hours. So I would watch just because I need to be in the know of what's going on, because you know I have these wrestling comics and stuff like that. That I would watch a recap because I just wasn't into it. Now, as far as comics, I mean, sometimes I think it works. I mean, you could look. I mean, those are even one panel. When you said that, the first thing I thought of, well, it's not really comics, but I was thinking of The Far Side. And that short, I mean, is that just like one panel, The Far Side?
Yeah.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
occasionally they, yeah, but typically it is.
Yeah, but I mean that works. And again, I have friends that write, you know, they only write short stories, like eight pages, and next thing you know, a new story, and that's okay. It's not my favorite because, to be honest, sometimes I think I'm really, by the time I'm into it, it's already over. You know, I hope that doesn't happen, but could it work? Maybe, but I doubt it.
I'm gonna agree with you, Dom. I appreciate. And I mean, this comes from somebody that, like, I look back, like, I picked up Daredevil Born Again from the library, and I started reading it, and my brain was like, I just realized I've never read this. And it kind of annoyed me after I got like 2 issues in, that I was like, how have I never read this? It's wonderful. It's just wonderful.
Right.
You know, but so I don't want that to be lost, because I think it's
Right.
interesting with comics. They have, if you look at comics, especially when you're concerning yourself with the Marvel and the DC universe specifically, I don't think, unless you're just talking about humanity, that there is a story form that has been longer going than that. And again, unless you're just talking about
Right.
human history.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's a beautiful way to tell a story, in my opinion. I feel like there are just people, like young kids, that they pick up a comic book just like they're picking up a textbook, and they just look at it like it's work. Oh God, I have to read this. You know, they can't separate the two, maybe, is Whereas if they pick up their phone, it's like it's theirs. They're in charge of everything that's going on with the phone.
You were supposed to ask a question after that to buy me that moment, Shiro, because I do know exactly what you said.
He just finished talking.
Okay. See? Sometimes life is interesting for everybody out there watching, and I love y'all, and I love everybody that's coming on the show, and that's all I'm gonna say. Life's interesting, right? I'm interested in though. You watching the MCU?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you find
I
yourself?
have seen just about everything.
Okay, and I think I have too. Now, the main complaints that I have ever really heard about Marvel, as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, are, oh my God, that didn't look exactly like real life. Like, yeah, dude, they're not going to be able to make every single frame of the Hulk look real. Can you just shut up and get over that? Like,
Right.
can everybody just agree that it doesn't have to be like it's a billion times better than like the original X-Men or Fantastic Four films? Can you just and get on and
Right.
just like be okay with the fact that it's not absolutely perfect? Neither is your life, bro. Get over it, right?
Maybe they're projecting.
Right.
That was kind of I mean, maybe a little, but also like let's be honest, whose life is perfect? And then also, everything's interconnected. The first one, like I said, I mean, just come on, dude. It's not real life. It's not going to look exactly like real life. Can you just let it go and enjoy the movie for as it is? The interconnected thing. Every time I hear that from someone, all I think is, you're not a comic book reader. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, like you're clearly not, and you clearly don't understand how comics work. Because I mean, there are things in comics nowadays that make callbacks to comics that are 20, 30, 40 years old sometimes.
Yep, exactly. I could not agree more. Of course it's interconnected, and it's not an easy thing to do, and they do it very well. I mean, we've all seen DC try to do it.
Looks like we could change the subject.
I have great hopes.
I mean DC's live action films.
Oh no,
I'm referring to.
Because can I say, you do have to admit their animated universe. Woo!
I've seen all of them multiple times. I'm a huge fan of the DC animated universe, big time.
Justice League Dark. Love it.
Oh
yeah, love it,
yep.
man.
Many.
Ooh.
I think I like the Flashpoint movie more than the comic.
I mean,
it was so cool with Thomas Wayne. I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah, because I mean that's one of the, like, if we're gonna talk the DC animated you, I mean it's definitely my favorites from that are definitely the Flashpoint and the Dark Avengers one, and honestly, having recently reread The Death of Superman, as well as recently watched The Death of Superman, it's the animated is better than the comic. I'd hate to say that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I really think
I haven't read that one in a while. As good as you remember.
I mean, well, and this goes back to the fact, look, that when I was younger, I always hated Superman. And then I had Fred Kennedy on, and he said what he said at the end of his quest, and then I ended his quest for saying it, because I don't need a therapist. I just needed some self-realization. And apparently, a little bit more Clark Kent in my life as far as reading, which I've had a great deal of both since then. So that was one of the comics that I ended up picking it up. Now, mind you, I did read The Death of Superman when it happened, because if you were collecting comics at that time, you read The Death of Superman. It's just kind of what happened.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I don't think I read the entirety, like, because I think it's 5 issues, if memory serves, or 4 or 5 issues. Um, I don't think I read the whole build-up. I just read the one where, Doomsday's like, okay, now I'm gonna kill you because you can't stop me, and like what happened in the entirety of it. I think the main thing that probably makes the animated film better is they didn't have the primary Justice League in the comics. In the comics, it's Night. I can't remember the character's name in all sincerity because he's like it was the character that DC made to rip off Blade. Which look, I'm not saying anything negative about that character. I don't remember that character's name, and I'm also it happens all the time. My favorite character, Wade Wilson, is clearly a take on Slade Wilson, and like how many times it's happened in comics, we're not going to get into it. It happens. Century of Superman, you could sit here and go back and forth 1,000 times with how many times it's happened. But that particular character, as well as I think Blue Beetle, or no, not Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Titan, like characters that weren't, and I don't think like looking at DC, I've never like, I think Booster Gold was probably the most well-known character that I seen in, and it was Lex Luthor's kid who had hair, and I don't ever remember anything about that.
Booster Gold was Lex Luthor's
No, no,
kid.
no, 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 no. Booster Gold was like the super, or it was the hero that was helping Superman in the attempts to stop Doomsday. This
Oh,
That was
right,
probably
right.
the
Oh my God.
most well known out of the heroes. Most of the other heroes that were included in that were way lower tier in the grand scheme of DC. Like they're not people that you would think. It wasn't Cyborg and Batman and Aquaman. It wasn't the primary Justice League. The people that people think of when they think the Justice League, even before the films, if you were just into comic books. Um, but then no, it wasn't Lex Luthor. It was Lex Luthor's kid, and he had hair, and he had like some weird pseudo thing of Supergirl that she got punched by Doomsday once, and then just and like fell into ooze. I don't know. It was really weird. Okay, I don't know what to say about it. So it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, the animated did that way better, and and yeah, it's that whole they had the primary Justice League. Go now. I want you to go back and reread the Death of Superman. I want to get like a bunch of.
Well,
I need to get like a group of people to reread the Death of Superman and be like, let's analyze this comic because it's considered this great moment because Superman died. But oh, if I had Dave on that, we might get in trouble and we might never have anybody from DC over here again.
Yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
I
I like
thought.
DC Comics, but just every once in a while in their movies, the live action movies, there'd be something good, since Dark Knight trilogy, but it's hard. I mean, you guys know, it's just so all over the place, unfortunately.
But it's just because they looked at Marvel and they keep going, we want that, and they have no patience to build that. Like I'm I have high hopes for the new Superman film. I hope, especially with it being James Gunn and everything James Gunn has done prior being to the level that it has. I mean, he did Guardians of the Galaxy, in which you're introducing a team, and he did it well, which is one of the more difficult things to do, especially with the team that he chose as far as the Guardians.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
they're
he did. Peacemaker, it was awesome.
oh that that's as far as in the things that are because apparently that's so weird too. That's one of the things that's like, oh no, that's going to be part of the DC universe. It's like, but that was part of the DC universe. How can you make that part of the DC universe and part of the DC universe and they're supposed to be different? Dude, you're making my head hurt, gun, right? But I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, that guy is way better at all that crap than I could probably ever think to be. So hopefully he does it all right. So I'm hoping that Superman movie's done right, but it's one of those things you can tell they want that MCU level of success, you know? And
Of course.
they just want to jump to it. And I think that's the thing. Like, that's what worries me about the Superman film. What it has, Mr. Terrific, you've got one of the Lanterns, you've got Hulkman, right? You've got, that's, at least they got Jason Momoa cast right this time, right?
Yeah, it's that you're right. They just try to shoehorn in too much story and too many characters. Just take your time. But like you said, they want it all and they want it right now, and that doesn't really work.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure if you could just like cherry pick and do comics for any wrestler and not have to worry about like cease and desists, you would probably have a Mankind and Undertaker book already. You know what I mean? But
For sure. And then, talk about shoehorning and too much going on. If you look at like Infinity War and Endgame, there was so much going on in those films. They're jumping from Guardians of the Galaxy to Doctor Strange and Hulk, and then back over here to Iron Man. But it didn't feel crowded because they took their time with the 20 movies that led up to that, and then it works when you do it that way. I mean, the Infinity War was masterful, I thought, because there was just a ton going on, and it never felt to me crowded or that they were just pushing stuff in there. Not never, maybe a couple times, but very minimal.
I still think one of my favorite scenes from that entire, and I think it's, I believe it's in Endgame. Yeah, I know it's in Endgame. Is when Thanos realizes that I need to bomb my own people or this witch is gonna kill me. Like
Right.
I absolutely must, right? So with that, with what
Right.
you're doing in Donny Brook, I want to know to take it back to your work, Dom.
Mhm.
How do you balance that when you have so many teams to make sure it comes together?
Right. Yeah, it's I write out the whole thing and then I just kind of eyeball it, and I don't want to. I try to give everybody enough. I call it, page time. Enough where I'm going back and forth, and I try to have a few players that are likable on each team and keep going back and forth. It's a juggling act. It's a juggling act, and then especially when it comes to the playoffs and teams get knocked out. Now, you're not going to hear from any of the players on those teams until season 2, right? So I kind of just look at it. All right, the people like this character, I like this character, and I try to put them in there enough where, like, each issue you can hopefully get just a little nugget from maybe whoever your favorite player is. Not I'm making it sound easy, but it's not.
No,
It's that's the challenge of the series. Yeah.
I don't think you made that sound easy at all, Dom. Not one bit, I want to point out. And if somebody listened to that and thinks that it's easy, I think that they've never tried to write anything, would be my opinion of it, to be real
Right.
honest. Which I think that's a lot of the problem. A lot of people will judge any form of entertainment. Pick one, and they'll go, oh,
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, have you ever tried to do any of this? Have you ever tried to draw a piece like this right here? You know what I'm saying? Have you ever tried to write any kind of story? Have you ever tried to film anything? Have you ever tried to put together a podcast and keep it running and just come off with questions off the top of your head? You know what I mean? Like, have you ever quested in life, really, is what I'm saying? Are you happy with your 9 to 5? If you're happy with your 9 to 5, by all means, be happy. Just, again, consume long-form content and not so much damn TikTok. Right? That's just, again, my opinion, because the media that you consume can consume you. That's very factual. Right? But I'm glad to hear that you don't let that consume you. Now, to flip that to the other side of things, right? When you work in the Piper story, right? How do you balance that? Because you have to focus on Piper, but then you obviously have gotten permission to use other wrestlers from them. How do you decide who to use less, who to use more, who to put where? You know what I mean? And do you base that off the popularity of the character or of the individual, I should say, because those aren't characters; those are actual people. Oops. I mean, they are characters. They're the
Yeah.
people's characters. You know what I mean by that? You're a wrestling fan, man.
Yeah, I mean, with Piper, he's the main attraction, and with that book, he's the main attraction. Everybody else is just there, helping him out. Hacksaw Jim Duggan was on his talk show called Piper's Pandemonium, and he was talking about how he got this store broken into, and he's telling the story, and then everybody was just kind of like a side player, and if it fit, it had to fit. Like Conrad Thompson interviewing, God, who was he interviewing in that? But maybe it was Piper, but that was perfect. He has a podcast. He interviews people all the time, so that fit perfectly. Mick Foley, being this guy with multiple personality disorder, and just loves to hits things with bats and kind of drive Piper crazy. That was perfect. But so basically, I just took people on a long Piper story with all the Piper stuff that you'd ever want to see. I mean, I don't know if you know it, but LL Cool J had a song from the 80s where he mentions Roddy Piper. That's in the book. All kinds of little nuggets I took from some of his promos from back in the day, WCW times, everything. So with Piper, it was a little bit easier because everybody was just a side player to Roddy.
Does he say anything about chewing bubble gum?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a single full page.
All right. So with
I would have got crucified if I didn't put that in there.
I would have done it myself.
Apparently, you got people waiting to come to Canada to do that, or come down from Canada to do that, man. Don't make the 51st state mad, Dom. All right, I'm gonna get shot for this running joke. I swear, somebody's gonna quit the show. I've got way too many Canadians that are part of the
step out and
questionnaire.
somebody left like a bag, but instead of dog poo, it's maple syrup, and then he'll know.
I would definitely know, but
Piper was Canadian.
Hey, I got all the love for Canada, man. I do, right? Real quick. With that,
it's too late. You're gonna have a whole lot of angry mother Canuckers coming after you.
I know, it's okay. It's okay, because
we are gonna write a stern letter.
But check it out. What I can do for all y'all Canadians up there is you go to Studio Comics, right? And you enter the discount code you're about to hear from a word from our sponsor, Studio Comics. Yeah, and find out you can get 20% off your order right now. All right, cut that commercial in. All right. Yeah, see? Check that out, man. Quest 24. You can get 20% off your order up in Studio Comics, right? So, I love y'all Canadians up there, man. We even got a partnership with one of the comic book stores up there. You can save a little bit, get you some books, right? But, right? Another thing we want to talk about, man, is you can click the link right in the description, right down there, and you can support this man right there on his current Kickstarter. Yeah, with the British Bulldog. Dom, I need that, because you gave him quite a story about Roddy Piper. You've got Mick Foley, you got Brutus. I love that you got Buff Bagwell in there, by the way. I always loved Buff. I don't know why. Buff is the stuff. I don't know why. Because I remember that dude back in the day. I remember the wheelchair bit he did. You know what I mean? I could sit here. We could talk Buff Bagwell, man. Like in detail, where people would be like, "This is a comic book show. Why are you talking this much about Buff Bagwell?" I'm not gonna lie. right. But so, can you tell us a little bit of what you got planned for the British Bulldog? Maybe a couple details of other wrestlers you're gonna show up in that particular book of yours. Is it a mess?
Yes. Is it a what?
I said, is it a mess? You put it in a bucket, right?
Right. So this is a continuation of the Piper story in a sense, where we're going to introduce 4 wrestlers that are, like, so the Roddy Piper, the Kilted Avenger, the British Bulldog UK Defender. And we're going to do 2 more like that are very similar to the wrestling persona, but basically a superhero. And then it's going to be a team up with those 4 wrestlers to not let the universe go into peril. They're going to get all the dimensions back under control. So British Bulldog UK Defender, he is a pro wrestler by day, but he's working for the MI6 agent. So he goes into the crowd and just takes, there's a criminal in the crowd. He goes in there and pretends like it's part of the show, but really he's actually catching the bad guy. Yeah, so it was very, very interesting. I can't tell you the bad guy's a surprise in the book, but his son Harry, British Bulldog Jr., is a part of the book. Who else can I tell you that's in there? His whole family is in there. Piper appears briefly, and Stu Hart makes an appearance.
Ooh.
Stu trained him in the dungeon, and he married Brett's sister, Diana Hart-Smith, and they had their kids, and Harry's their son. But so basically, it kind of follows the same thing. There's all this violence going down in London, and they're trying to figure this out and stop it before it gets out of hand. So that's basically moving the story forward. It's the same villain in this one.
But the villain is a surprise. The villain, a professional wrestler.
Yes, I'll say that. Yeah,
okay.
That's pretty apparent as soon as you open the book that it's going to be a pro wrestler. But yeah, he's a general of the main villain, Ruth S. Heel from the Piper book. He's the guy in charge.
If I guess, will you tell me if I'm right?
You're going to ruin it. But I'll try to keep a straight face when you make the guess.
I mean, I would say Nikolai Volkov.
No, it's not. That'd be great though. Hell of a deal.
Either that, or if you went with Sergeant Slaughter, I think it'd just be a little perfect, to be real honest. Like that one. Like, I feel, and we ain't gonna say no more, man. It might be Nikolai Volkov. It might be, you might have used the Iron Sheik. I mean, technically, there's such a great laundry list of individuals that you could go into to use that. Now, so it's gonna be. Oh my God, that would be pretty priceless. I'm not gonna lie if you use Doink, especially based on the fact that Doink the Clown has been, I don't know how many people. I'm pretty sure that's probably a copyrighted property by WWE, though. I don't know if you could use Doink the Clown without somebody biting your head off, as far as the cease and desist.
It could be just an army of Doinks.
Oh my God. You hear them in the distance. Honk, 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 honk.
If nothing else, at some point, you just need to have them have gotten an army of Doinks together. I'm just saying, but that's, yeah. But, so you're gonna
he had a little person called Dink, right? Was that?
He did.
I think.
He did.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah. Very classy, WWE.
Oh.
Very classy.
Hey, look, you want to talk about Mark Henry and the Mae Young storyline?
For sure.
Yeah, like
the ending.
Oh my God.
The hand.
Oh my God. I said I tried to keep this show PG, dude. I don't know what, like, imagine if they tried to do that in the modern WWE era. How quick, I don't want to know what kind of backlash they would get from that, but it would probably not be good. I
didn't find it funny or even understand what the hell the point of it was when it happened. So, if they did it now, people would be very confused.
All right. We're gonna get back to your book in a moment, but I have to ask you, in your opinion, Dom, what is the worst WWE story arc you've ever seen?
Katie Vick. Katie Vick. Remember with Kane and Katie Vick and Triple H, where Triple H gets on top of the coffin and starts banging the the dead body that was Katie Vick that
Yeah,
came.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That was
That was.
it was atrocious.
I don't know, man.
It was so. You mean like a cringeworthy like type of thing like that?
Well, no, I know. Well, I mean, if that's in your opinion the best or the like this story arc to just kill, but I was talking more like an overarching story arc that kind of was like, what were they thinking with the entirety of this?
Now we're getting in the deep lore.
The worst storyline, what they were thinking. Do you have one that comes to mind? I gotta think about that one.
Look, I can't even remember what led to it, but I know it was just a bad story arc. But when it ended with Vince McMahon getting blown up in a limo, I was like, well, they're right. It is just soap opera for men, and I don't need this in my life. I literally like you can't tell me like. I mean, I know it went too far to entertainment and too far away from wrestling. The moment it was like he got blown up, I'm like, firstly, this would be on CNN if this really happened. Like you remove like somebody getting chopped really hard, and the guy going, oh, and then like, so like, okay, there's a, because I'm like, I've seen terrible chops. Like, I can't believe in AEW, I can't remember the name of the wrestler, and it drives me, it's going to annoy me right now, and I apologize to you if you ever do see this, but chopped Chris Jericho so bad, he was profusely bleeding from his chest. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was.
And I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, that was terrible. You know what I mean? Like, you can get a sense of disbelief from all that things and so many things, or that, oh, somebody stood up groggy and that's why, he was able to pick him up and slam him down or whatever. But you can't tell me Vince McMahon got blue. Like, my sense of disbelief at that moment is like, no, dude, that's major news. Like, don't shut up. This is. He
was on TV. Vince was back on TV 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Because of the Chris Benoit thing happened right after.
Just a flesh wound.
Yeah. Here's one. This is pretty hilarious. It happened in Detroit, and there was Hulk Hogan and the Giant, Big Show, were like brawling on top of Cobo Hall, and then Hogan threw the Giant into the Detroit River off the top of Cobo, and he came back to wrestle Hogan for the title that night. So survived it, but totally dry. Threw him off the top. Oh, you can find it on YouTube. It's an absolute classic. It's hilarious. It's so bad. It's funny.
I'm okay. I missed the water.
I missed the water. I just hit the ground. There's just a really big mark where I landed. That's all. I'm good.
I landed on my feet off the top of a stadium.
No, he didn't land on his feet, dude. He's so big, he just landed on the ground. It made like a little impact, like Juggernaut landed there or some crap, you know what I mean?
Right.
Perfectly shaped like his body.
Looked like it. Yeah, it either looked like something out of Looney Tunes and it was shaped perfectly like his body, or it looked like something like the Hulk landed there and it just made an impact and that was it. And either way, it was fine because he's the Giant. You know what I mean? I think. That hurts my brain, and I'm not going to say the thing. I'll say that after the show.
With the questionnaire.
So we've edited this awesome commercial to get you off.
90% off.
We are not giving 90% off.
No, I mean 9.
How about 20?
The only thing that you have to do is enter that code that you have right there.
9.
No, 20.
10.
How about 20?
I'm printing your comics today with Studio Comics Press.
Just use this code right here. Right here. Look, I put it somewhere. All right, it's probably actually right here. Right. It's right under your chin. It says Quest24.
That code you gotta enter in our website, and then you will get a women discount of 20% in any of the items or products that we have on the website.
9.
20.
9.
20%.
9.
All right.
9.
He wants to give you 9% off. I, as well as Alfonso over there on Studio Comics, want to give you 20% off.
You can get it right there with this amazing code. Just enter it right here. Yeah, just right there. There.
Use that code over at Studio Comics to get 20% off.
Thank you very much. This is a special one for all our friends of the questionnaire.
Back to your book, right? So you've got 4 books planned
Segue.
and then a team up book. All right. So your Piper, British Bulldog, right, and 2 others. Do you have the 2 others? Like, do you know who it's going to be already, or is this like?
I know who the third man is, brother. but the 4th one we're working on. But it's not Hulk Hogan. But I was doing an NWO thing.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't want anyone to think that that's what I was saying. It'd be great if it was Hogan. That'd be a blast.
Oh yeah, well, and that I would think really give you a nice sales boost as well. Well, I don't know with what.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. With this, there's a storied history there that I don't. Wrestling is interesting, man. You should get New Jack.
He's got to be a heel, right?
I don't know. I really think if New Jack was like the fate of the world's in balance, yeah, I'll throw this guy off the top of the scaffolding to save it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you need someone fearless.
I mean, for anybody that doesn't know what I'm referring to, type in New Jack throws guy from top of scaffolding, and you will see one of the. The spot I'm talking about, Dom?
The guy's name he threw off the scaffolding was called Mass Transit.
And yeah,
that was the name of it.
And I think I'd have rather got hit by a car than took that bump.
Well,
that
transit
was so brutal.
Well, I mean, he literally. Did you see the Dark Side of the Ring episode about that?
No, I didn't see that.
Ooh, there's a whole special on New Jack that's Dark Side of the Ring, and they talk on that moment specifically, and to say that New Jack had ill intent towards that gentleman would be an understatement, because there's a story about that guy and New Jack having a match, and that guy not really knowing how to wrestle, and something happening, and then not talking to New Jack for a long time, and then they had that match, and New Jack was like, oh yeah, all right, so I don't know, man. Look, if you get New Jack to agree, I don't think I'd write him as a heel if you like, not getting thrown off scaffoldings.
Right.
Big fan.
Right.
I'm just saying, man. Right. I'm just saying. Right. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I feel like New Jack would be down for that. Like, as far as like, yeah, make me a superhero. Like, sorry, I'm just throwing out. Now I want to, and then you use the brother, and you said it's an NWO reference. So part of me is like, is it somebody that was part of the NWO at some point? Now you just have me wanting to theorize and sit here and figure out who the third guy is that you've already got planned. I want you to know that, Dom. Right? Because, I mean, Piper and British Bulldog.
It wasn't NWO. It's not an NWO member. I was just wanting to do that third man thing. That's all.
Okay. I mean, well, because you've got a great American in Piper. You've got somebody great from the UK and the British Bulldog as far as from wrestling. When you look and are trying to approach about this, I mean, you have to get the individual's permission. So there is that hurdle that you have to jump over before you can go about doing this. What are your thoughts as far as when you were trying to figure out who to use, as far as, because obviously you can't go, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna use Triple H. That's not realistic. Triple H is gonna be like, what, dude, I'm headed to the WWE. Will you leave me alone? I mean, there's certain people that it's not feasible for, and I'm pretty sure pretty much anybody under contract currently with the WWE, I don't think they could do it per the contract they already have with the WWE. I may be wrong in that, but I'm pretty sure most of them are, yeah, it's going to be a situation where just contractual obligations that they already have, it's not a possibility. So what are you doing
Right.
judging that?
And even I mean, even a Legends deal, sometimes they can't do it, So you have to. I do look into that and try and. I want someone with a big name. It helps if they are still doing signings and conventions and stuff, so that if I do a convention, I can. We're doing it at the same time. We can be next to each other at the table and sign the books together and all that, and that kind of stuff helps. So someone that's available and then fits where I want to go with the story. Those are two important things
Are you
that I
wanting
look
to
for.
are you wanting to keep everybody from that era, or is there a part of you that would like to maybe say reach to somebody currently in AEW? Because I feel like maybe with AEW you might be able to get somebody from there. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think you have a chance with anybody from WWE. Again, just because of the contracts they have. Unless you got a
Yeah,
deal with
even
WWE.
AEW is more like WWE now, where you pretty much can't get them. They're tied up pretty tight with contracts. So,
Kinky.
someone got what's that?
I said kinky.
Oh, yeah. So I try to find someone that's not under contract, hopefully not under a Legends deal, or if they have a Legends deal, they're allowed to do that. And that fits the story, fits where I want it to go, and they're not too similar to Piper and Bulldog, where they can stand on their own, and when there's that big team up.
New Jack.
New Jack. All right.
I think that's a personal request at this point.
Come on, man. You just say it. Like it would.
I'll see what I can do.
Dude, if you really pull that, that would be phenomenal. I think it would be a very interesting team. Do you want to make sure you stay to the same era as far as, because Piper, I mean, British Bulldog's a little bit beyond that, or does it not matter? Like you bring anybody from modern to,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
era doesn't matter to me. Yeah, it can be from any era. Yeah,
Time doesn't
I
matter.
think
Fun matters.
Do you?
right, exactly.
Is there anybody? Because look, the fact that you got permission to use Mick Foley,
Mhm.
that surprises me, to be frank, with where he is. But you got to catch him at a convention, I'm gonna assume.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he is a big fan of the artist. Yeah, that was all Eric Hudson.
Ah, okay. Why? There's this part of my brain that's like, why wouldn't you make him a main character, Dom? Or is that just?
Well, because he's wrapped up under contract now. So when we got him, he wasn't under contract. I don't think he had a Legends deal or something. So he can only appear in the rest of the book in a limited capacity. We can't do a whole Mick Foley book, unfortunately. That'd have been amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, Mick is. I think he's somebody that will always stand out within wrestling history to a different degree based on what he did. And what the heck did you just do, Shiro? Shiro just
I need to take 2 minutes.
I know, but now you made me have to do more editing based on what you did. I'm gonna make it. Look, now I'm gonna make switching season 3 more of a pain because you just made me have to, and then you're gonna have to cut it back, and it's gonna make me do more editing. But whatever. Shiro's messing with me, Dom. It's not fair, right? Oh,
I got about my sister.
Oh no, I know, no.
Calling.
Oh no, hey,
I got about 50.
Yeah. No, I know, man. I'm getting close to that point. I just really
Okay.
I want to figure. I want more information from you, Dom, in this, and I don't feel like you're gonna give me any more.
Well, I can't give away what happens in the book.
Well, I don't want that given away,
Otherwise,
but I would just love to know, like, who you're planning on bringing, because I'm hoping, like, I'm very intrigued, and hopefully everyone listening is as well. And like I said, there's a link in the description to the Kickstarter currently running for the British Bulldog. You can go pick that up, and I'm pretty sure within that Kickstarter they'll be able to pick up the Rowdy Roddy Piper book as well, right?
right.
Okay.
Correct.
So you'll be able to pick up both the first 2 issues and be just as annoyed as I am that Dom will not tell me what the third person is going to be, right? And you just have to wait, right? Just like everybody else. And you can just be annoyed about it, man. And that's what you're going to have to do. I can't get Dom to tell. And he said brother, but then he said it's not that one because I mean, that would have been a dead giveaway where it had been that one. Like, you got to say brother. Who says brother that much? Who literally, I think it's funny that he calls everybody brother. Just because he don't remember people's names. I'm gonna start calling people brother. I'm terrible with names, and I deal with too many people. Just be like, yeah, brother. Like, then people will be like, who do you think you are, Hulk Hogan? I'll be like, no, I do it for the same reason he does, brother. Do your research, and they'll be like, holy crap are you talking about, man? And I will never explain myself. If they want to figure it out, they can go look it up online, man. Like I said, you can also go look that Kickstarter up right there and pick up the British Bulldog as well as the Rowdy Roddy Piper story. And I still want to know, who's the third guy?
I forgot. God.
Son of
I got it written down somewhere. Where? It's around here somewhere. Yeah, I lost it. I'll tell you. I'll give you a couple hints. It's more recent than the first 2, and it's an incredible technical wrestler.
More recent than the first 2. An incredible technical wrestler. Somebody that is not under any kind of contract with either AEW or WWE, because those are just completely tied up to the point where you could not use them. So it's beyond that. How about will you give a era of when they wrestled?
After Bulldog came back to WWE. I don't know what era that is.
After Bulldog, I'd say that's like right around the late 80s, 90s, if memory serves me proper. Maybe a little bit previous. Maybe mid 80s. No, late 80s. No, that was like late 90s.
90s.
Yeah, late 90s. Late 90s. All right. A great technical wrestler.
Mid to late 90s, maybe. Yeah.
Mid to late 90s. A great technical wrestler. Oh man, that's all right. I'm gonna leave it up to y'all out there, right? Like, comment, right?
Yeah, it's a mystery.
I'll make you. Well, here. I'll make you. Nah, we can't do that, man. I was gonna be like, let's make it a gamble. I'm gonna put this up on TikTok, and if somebody gets it right, and you see they get it right, you should send them a copy. But then I'm like, if you do that, then they know, and they could just be really rude, because let's be honest, it's the internet. You never know who's going to be a nice guy and who's just going to be a bad guy, right? Maybe it's Razor Ramon.
You could do before I announce it. I'm gonna announce it after the Bulldog campaign ends, probably maybe a month or so after. So probably a couple months from now, 2 or 3 months over the summer, early summer, I'll probably make the announcement. I don't want to take away from the Bulldog, promotion.
I mean, that's fair, man, because that is a phenomenal wrestler, and I love the fact that you put an MI5 little James Bond twist on it. I think that is very, very intriguing, man. Yeah, it is, man. And then you combined it with Piper. Like, I'm very interested to see who the rest of this team is gonna be. Like, you're making the Wrestling Avengers, and dude, I bloody well love it. Dom. I do, man. There needed to be a wrestling Avengers, in my opinion, right? And again, thank you for coming on, man. But,
Thanks.
yeah,
Thank you.
for everybody out there, right, what I want you all to do is, one, man, go click that link in the description. Check out Dom. Like I said, see the Kickstarter. You know, if you into wrestling and you into comics, like, get it, man. Come on. Why not? Right? And if you've enjoyed this interview, what I want you to do, right, is I want you to, man, why didn't you have an untrustworthy number? Whatever, right? I want you to send Dom all kinds of pizza, like every kind of pizza you can. Just like whatever your favorite pizza is, send Dom a slice, right? So he can sit down, watch some Idiocracy. Yo, bro, that film is turning into a documentary, and I'm not a fan at all. I'm not a fan at all. Idiocracy is meant to be a comedy, not a documentary. But you can, bring Dom some pizza, sit down and watch it with him, and, watch what is turning into a documentary. But then, that is just if you enjoyed the interview. Right now, if you didn't enjoy the interview, like if for some reason this quest has upset you, firstly, you could have turned it off. You could have. It was fully within your capabilities to just turn it. Please don't hate watch things. Still hate watch things. Watch long form content, but don't hate watch long form content. Like, watch things that you enjoy. Life is too short to sit and consume things that you don't enjoy. But if for some reason Dom's just really ticked you off this whole time and you just wasn't a fan, right? What you can do, right, is you can send him oh wait, now I gotta modify that. Hold on. Oh, this is so rude. No, really? Oh, that just seems mean, man. That just seems really mean, right? But what I want you to do is you just send him like a dozen Annies, all that have been drenched in coffee, yeah, to just make him sit down and have them sing and reenact every bit of Thor, the Dark World. And that just seems bloody terrifying, Dom. It really does. Like,
That
wow.
mental image is
I
original.
I want no part of what I just said. But again, that's only if you haven't enjoyed the quest.
rather
Oh
be-
my God.
I'd rather be thrown off of scaffolding.
Yeah.
Or I guess just send New Jack to him and tell him that Dom said every bad thing you could think of about him, right? I honestly, I'll take New Jack over what I just suggested as well, to be real honest. Like, I'll take New Jack, right? And that's terrible, man. But that was the Annie Coffee Thor. No, bad, right? Just bad. But besides that, I only want you all to do three things, right? One, always give it that thumbs up. Two, always get your comic on, right? Three, have a good night, y'all.
This has been the questionnaire.
Where's the link?
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
In the link below, yes?
I will drop it like it's hot.
That's another party.
It's cool, man. I love it.
The questionnaire. That is all.